they're scheming in the night, selling out our freedoms for a pocket full of spite. From the border to the heartland, the wolves are at the door, twisting truth and tearing down what our fathers fought before. But I'm a patriot source, standing tall and true, with a Bible in my hand and old glory flying blue. Ain't apologizing for loving this land. We'll fight the forces of evil with fire in our stand. God bless the USA, we'll never back down. Patriots for freedom, wearing that crown.
Well, this time it was my fault, folks. It was my fault because I rolled in here at exactly 8:23 and have absolutely no idea what we're going to be doing tonight. I have a sense of what the topics are, but the order that we're doing them in, I don't know. I have no clue. No idea. No idea. So Nam is going to have to take over the reins quite a bit as we go through this. I don't know if he knows that or not, but we took the kids to youth group tonight at a church that we're checking out here down in the Southern Command. And in case you guys up north aren't aware, but there's some really strange weather patterns down here that I'm not quite used to. It's like giant storm after giant storm after giant storm. So we went out to eat a little early. It was like 5 o'clock Central Time, grabbed some food, and this like gigantic mass of red and yellow and green are taking over the entire southern seaboard of Alabama. It's huge. It's massive. So we had planned to take the kids to youth group, come back here, drop me off, and then my wife was going to go pick them up. But ladies in the chat, help me out here. Is my wife the only one who refuses to drive in the rain? She won't do it. She refuses to drive in the rain.
I prefer not to, but I do it. I mean, I have to.
So I am I don't understand it because I like driving in that inclement weather. I think it's fun to drive in the snow. I think it's fun to drive in the rain, but she won't. So I was like, fine, I will go with you to pick them up. And they didn't get out until 8 Central.
I have lots of experience driving in the rain. The rain doesn't bother me as much. It's not rain that bothers me. It's like when it is like you can't see, or when it's dark and it's raining that hard and you can't see the lines on the road. I don't like that. But driving in the rain, I'm okay. The snow, not so much, but that's because, or ice. Well, here we get ice mostly. I don't have a lot of experience driving in the ice, so I just prefer not to. Also, when it starts to, like you start to slide a little bit, I don't like it because I get like PTSD flashbacks from a car wreck I had when I was like 16. So I'm like, I don't like that.
But I have a theory, and I'd love to test that theory. SK, we're going to try this theory out on you. And ladies in the chat, I want your opinions on this as well. I have a theory on the difference between men and women driving. All right. By the way, this is absolute. Well, maybe it does, because our show tonight is about contrast. That's what we're going to do. We're going to talk about contrast. And this is maybe just one small contrast between the way that men and women approach driving. So, Nam, you would probably agree with me. When I get in my car or my truck, I almost feel like that vehicle is like an extension of me, right? So I don't feel like I have to operate a machine. I feel like I'm just driving my truck. It's an extension of me. And what I've noticed in talking to my wife and other women about it is they feel like they have to operate this big, heavy machine. And it's like, it's them versus the machine. And for me, it's like, I am the machine driving. Am I wrong about that?
I think that's right. I don't know if you guys noticed this or not, but over in the chat, I don't think we have any video on our Rumble feed right now. They've got audio, but no video. And I can't fix that. All right. Still no video. I don't know how to fix that, frankly. I don't know that we can fix that.
You guys may have to come over to YouTube. You may have to bite the bullet and come on over to YouTube, because we don't have
or X, any of our accounts. So right now we're streaming out to the PS Pod 25 account on X. We're also streaming out to PatriotDad's X account and mine. So you may have to go out to X to get it. And by the way, I invited someone to come and check us out for the evening because we're going to make him famous here in just a few minutes. I did see Clare Patriot's in the audience in the chat. So some really interesting things happened as we were preparing content for the contrast of the show. We'll get to it in a minute when you guys are done talking about driving.
I'm done.
I think that's fine. Are we done?
I'm done. I just figured I'd open the show with that.
I feel like everybody should know. I definitely don't feel that. I feel like the car's an extension of me, and I've been driving since before I could even reach the pedals. I would sit in my dad's lap, and then I sat on a phone book, and as soon as I could reach the pedals, I was driving, like
that's awesome.
Illegally driving on the road. But so I love to drive, and it's a race, like to get there as fast as I can everywhere I go. My mom, I know she's probably listening. She gets real mad. She's like, "Why are you in such a hurry?" And it's like, "'Cause I gotta win."
That's right. I have to win.
Well.
Before we do jump into the content, SK, you were famous last night. You had like thousands of people watching you last night, didn't you?
I don't know, because on StreamYard, like in here, I can't tell how many people are watching.
Oh, we can.
I don't log into the actual like Patriot Source StreamYard. I just come in on my SK StreamYard. So I did the same thing last night, so I can't see any of that. Also, couldn't put like comments up or anything, but I also don't know how to do that. Probably shouldn't be allowed to either.
Yeah, probably. So, well, SK hosted, she was a guest host last night on Paramount Tactical, and I think a lot of you guys were probably there supporting her. So thank you for joining that show last night and for helping her to get through that. Paramount Tactical does a very different format. Did you do a 3-hour, was it a 3-hour show last night?
We did two. We did a 2 hour. It was 2 hours. I mean, we didn't even do that many comments or super chats either. It was just the podcast.
Yeah. Well, congratulations, because you were the first person to ever have done that for him. That is a badge of honor. You should wear that.
I know.
card.
I even wore a beard at the
I
beginning.
saw that open. It didn't last long though. You're like, okay, that didn't go off
It's
as long as I
so
wanted it
big
to.
on my face. My face is so small. My face looks huge.
You know
It's
what you need to
round.
do? You need to take that beard and you need to somehow mount it, put it on some type of a mount and put it right back there with your flag or your deer head or whatever that is. You need to have
the deer head.
You need, yeah, well, there you go. Put it on the deer. Put it on the deer, and that needs to be your Gary beard on the deer.
I can do that, or I can put it on the jackalope or jackrabbit, whatever that thing is. It's not.
It's not a deer. Okay, it looks like a deer from here, but
This
you're only
little
like
one.
this
It's a
big.
rabbit. It's a rabbit with antlers.
Oh, I see it. Okay, cool. All right, Nom. So what happened? I know we had this whole show planned out. We're going to be talking about contrast, and then I saw you getting all fired up this afternoon. Like, what's going on? There's some people out there stirring up trouble, trying to.
No, so I guess, listen, before we do this, everybody, especially those of you that are, beating feet out of Rumble and heading over to X or whatever, make sure that you stop by and you invite at Mark Mad Dog Davis to come and join us. Or, you can just go over and find him and, I don't know, check out what he was up to this afternoon. Because it truly is the contrast between what is left of the shambles, the smoldering heap of the Democrat Party that's basically been taken over by East German style Marxists and communists and socialists.
That is wild to me, by the way. When we get into this topic, it is going to blow your mind. Wild.
The Democrat Party's dead. They're dead. And it is actually super funny to watch Hakeem Jeffries pretend like, wow, I mean, we're not worried about this. These guys aren't the future. Guys, you're dead. Your party's over. What does that tell you about Democrat policies if their party ceases to exist after this weekend or after this week? Anyway.
Well, I mean, the contrast, look, the contrast is being established right now. I mean, you've got the Rhino Republican wing of the Republican Party, which is basically dead also. And then you have the entirety of the Democrat Party is dead and has been wholly taken over, not basically, wholly taken over by radical Islamo-communist lunatics. And now we know that the influence is coming from East German connected Germans, which is crazy to me. I thought that strain of communism was dead, but I guess it's not, because SK and Data Republican revived it today.
It's
amazing.
Back. So to answer your question, what happened this afternoon? Well, let's just kind of start at the beginning. So there's this obscure dude down in Florida, I think in the 16th congressional district, who is trying to mount some weird independent campaign, and he considers himself to be a tough guy. Clare Patriot
Looks kind of doughy.
Red Wave Unfiltered from the Patriot Source Network, right? One of our favorites put out a pretty good video about it, and this guy did not like it. So we're going to walk through what he did. And remember, this episode's about the contrast between MAGA and East German style Marxist, socialists, and communists, right? And where the direction that they want to take this country, and where we're going to take the country and where we currently are. So let's take a look at what Clare Patriot was up to earlier today. It was actually a good video. It's kind of funny.
Squad over a glitter bomb, you know, like a practical joke, because Mark Davis for Congress just had an event like 2 hours ago where he got this package. He's like, just received this weird package from Marion, Indiana. No idea who sent it. Inside was a sealed white tube with the taped lid that simply said, open. So I tossed it in the trash can at the end of my driveway and called the cops. And he's warning his neighbors not to go digging in his garbage can. Does that seem like a mentally stable person? This is the same man that you've probably seen viral videos of going into Publix and screaming at people that voted for Donald Trump. The best part is he doxed his full address. How can anybody trust the judgment of a person to be in any leadership role when they can't even protect their own identity? And he literally showed proof. He called in the cops who are calling in the bomb squad. And the address for this package comes back as glitter bomb. He could have looked this up himself. And people like him talk so much crap about our law enforcement. But then the minute they get a little scared, they have to call them in to help.
I'm gonna so there's more, right? I'm gonna pause this there because the point that Claire makes right there is so amazingly accurate. These are the people who spent, I don't know, all of 2020 and basically the last 6 years that we've known, and probably years before that, saying that we have to defund the police, that is over policing. And then as soon as any minor little inconvenience comes this way, the first thing they do is call the police for help. It's such a shocking contrast, actually. So either they don't actually mean what they're saying about defunding the police, or the police really are just for them and not for you, which, as we know, Marxists and socialists and communists believe those things aren't actually for them. They're for everybody else while they get to get rich on it.
Well, right? Really what they're telling you is that what they think the police should be used for, instead of the police, you know, protecting the public from murderers, rapists, violent criminals, you know, people who are assaulting folks on the street, breaking into homes, stealing your property. What they think police should be used for is protecting them from glitter. That's what they think they should be used for. They shouldn't be used to protect the public against violent illegal immigrants who are flooding our country, raping women, killing people, stealing things, defrauding the country. They should be used for glitter bombs.
Well, I have a question. I mean, this kind of starts to smell a little bit to me like a Jussie Smollett and Bubba Watson, or Bubba, what's his name, from the NRA, or
does he get money from SPLC asking for?
Oh, he might. Yeah, this is smelling. This is starting to smell to me like maybe he sent this to himself because he's trying to find a way to, I don't know, get over the absolute truth that political violence and assassination culture exists almost exclusively on the left today. So is this another Jussie Smollett event? Was this or an SPLC funded so-called hate crime or death threat? I don't know. I'm just asking questions.
It actually feels like it. It certainly feels like it. I mean, seriously,
yes.
Who would put in the from section of the letter glitter bomb unless you were fully intending to create some type of social media spectacle that you could then use to become relevant in a campaign that nobody cares about, nobody knows who you are as a candidate. The fastest way for anyone to pay attention to you is to send yourself a glitter bomb and then call the bomb squad.
And then call the bomb squad. But there's more. So Claire's got more. This is pretty good.
The same man that has been ranting on the internet about a Confederate flag that is on one of our highways in Florida, which is actually at a Confederate memorial, screaming, who owns that? Who's the owner of that? I'm going to show up and blah, blah, blah. You're so big and bad and tough. And you call in the bomb squad over a glitter bomb. And his warped followers are really feeding into this, saying that we are the problem. We are a terrorist organization. Dude, somebody sent you a glitter bomb. They didn't actually show up to your house. Maybe if you weren't posting horrendous.
Who's somebody? Listen, I'm not sure that this is actually a legitimate event. I'm calling Jussie Smollett on this, but I'm just asking questions. I really am calling Jussie Smollett.
Smells a lot like Bubba Watson and his noose hanging from the garage.
Because I wish he would come in here and answer these questions.
I do too. I mean, hey, everybody, I believe, have tagged him. I've invited him. And if you're in the chat and you haven't gone over to @Mark Mad Dog Davis, which is I don't think this guy is.
Somebody type that in the comments so we can put it on the screen and leave it up there for a little bit.
Yeah, @Mad Dog here. @Mark Mad Dog Davis. So, I mean, I'm not sure if this guy is actually all with it. He may have some mental issues that we're going to we should probably be concerned about. Can we get a red flag call for this guy? Anyway, so I don't know if we need to continue. You guys get the point, right? So that's Claire's video. I thought it was a well done video. And I think it probably didn't intend to raise the point, but I'm going to raise the point and I'm going to just ask the question, was this a false flag so that Mark Mad Dog Davis could gain followers for his campaign account? Because he does end up bragging at the end of this where he's gaining 1,000 followers an hour on his Threads account. What is Threads on? What is that? Is that on Facebook?
Wait, who cares about Threads? Nobody cares about Threads.
Exactly. So, I mean, it's
what the hell is Threads?
It's a good question to ask because this is my favorite part. So let's introduce everybody to Mark Mad Dog Davis. He was a congressional candidate in the 16th congressional district in the state of Florida, running for Congress, and we're not playing nice. Mark Mad Dog Davis is not playing nice. So I think maybe he doesn't necessarily understand how to campaign. He's focusing all of his attention and his energy on Threads, and nobody literally knows what Threads is. I don't even know where to find Threads. But the funniest part about all this, and I'm assuming this is why he did it, so he could gain 1,000 followers an hour. If you check the follower account here on his X account, this account's been here since May 2025. That's over a year old. He's garnered almost 1,100 followers. The dude has 2,000 posts. He has more posts than he has followers in a year. More posts to his campaign account than he has followers. So what Mark Mad Dog Davis for Congress, 16th congressional district in Florida, decided to do, his response to Claire and the glitter bomb, says now his nickname is Glitter Boy, if I'm not mistaken, is what Claire's calling him, Glitter Boy. Mark Mad Dog Davis, as a response and showing us how sane he is, he says, "Can someone find this Nazi's personal address and send it to me, please? Thank you."
That's doxing. I mean, if he takes that information and publishes it, that's literally doxing.
Well, and they may also violate a couple of federal statutes or Florida statutes as well, which I'm sure we will find out along the way. But I think it's very interesting because I'm glad, Nom, that you brought this up in terms of setting up the contrast here, right? So you have Mark Mad Dog Davis running in Florida 16. By the way, he's not running as a Democrat. I just looked it up because I wanted to ask
an independent.
How is this person polling in the primary? And because he's actually running as an independent, he's running in the general election. There is no primary for this person. So in terms of creating some type of name ID, it makes a lot of sense that someone as insane as Mad Dog Davis would create another Bubba Watson, noose hanging from a garage door at a race, a NASCAR race. That makes a lot of sense.
I don't think his last name was Bubba Watson. Bubba Watson was a golfer.
Yeah, it's not Bubba Watson. Whatever his name is.
It's Bubba something else.
Bubba something else. I'll stop using that. The Juicy Smollett. How about that?
Juicy Smollett.
It makes a lot of sense. But I'm glad you brought this up because here you have this guy is clearly a radical leftist, probably considers himself part of the DSA culture, the lunatic culture, is referring to people who are critical of him as Nazis and terrorists at the exact same time that we have several Antifa members who were just convicted and sentenced to a combined 455 years in federal prison for actual terrorism. The same group of people who are bending over backwards to prop up and support a candidate in Maine that literally has a Totenkopf Nazi tattoo on his chest is part of their culture. And yet, this guy is attacking a girl online and calling her a Nazi.
But he actually calls her a Nazi. Yeah, he calls Clare Patriot a Nazi when they actually just voted, you're right, up there in Maine for an actual Nazi. Like, I don't think this guy's sane. And the reason I don't think he's sane is because I mean, the only people we ratioed the shit out of him on his own post.
It wasn't hard when nobody follows your account.
Nobody followed.
It's the most publicity he's ever had, probably.
Yeah, seriously.
Congrats, Nom. You got her more. You and Claire got him more publicity than he's ever. It's kind of like Looney Sooney, who gets more attention because of us than she's ever gotten on her own. Congratulations, guys. We've given this guy more media than he'll probably ever get.
Oh, look at Devil Dog. Devil Dog says Claire is not a Nazi, but she's a Hotsie. Well done. But no, he wasn't done. And this is why I think we probably need maybe some red flag calls for this guy and maybe a social welfare check on him, because he wasn't done. Because then he came back, I don't know, an hour later and says, does anyone have this Nazi's address yet? He doubled down.
This is crazy.
He did it again.
Bro messed up. He doesn't even know how bad he messed up.
Bro, probably. I don't think he's sane. I think that if he were to be charged, he'd probably have to plead temporary or total complete insanity. So we just gave Mark Mad Dog Davis, which, I mean, who the fuck names their congressional account Mark Mad Dog Davis? What?
It was probably his
Sparkle
AOL
fingers.
or
Sparkle
his
fingers. You know,
his
the meme with,
MySpace
like, the
handle
Twitter.
name, and it's stuck with him ever since MySpace. That's what it is. It's his MySpace handle.
Yeah. So Mark Mad Dog Davis just probably got more publicity to his account. Well, even though I think he was celebrating that he got 100,000 followers on Threads. I'm assuming that has to be bots. I don't even know what Threads is. I don't know where it is. Yeah, I did. I did a video, Paul, and I was like, hey, at the end of my video, I was like, hey, if you want to find someone's address, come fucking find mine, Mark Mad Dog Davis. I fucking dare you. Instead of picking on women, that's like a total radical leftist thing to do, is ignore the men and go after the women because you're a bunch of fucking coward, pussy ass pansies, Mark Mad Dog Davis. You want to come after women? You're going to have to come through us first. And I will fucking gut stomp your ass into the dirt.
We'll just leave that right there. I don't think we need to add anything else to it. There's your challenge. Come to Nom's house.
We need an AI photo of that dude with his hand up like this and glitter coming out.
I think we have a glitter thing, don't we? Didn't I see something about Mark Mad Dog covered in glitter in the, maybe not. Doesn't matter. We all can imagine what he looks like covered in glitter, because I'm willing to bet he spends most of his free time covered in glitter. It looks like it anyway. That's what it seems like to me. But this was a perfect contrast, folks. Remember what we talk about all the time. We constantly are telling you guys the same thing. Politics are what? Sound bites and snapshots. Nothing else matters when it comes to political campaigning. Platform doesn't matter. Speeches don't matter. None of it matters. Sound bites, snapshots. The pictures and the sounds that come from the campaign are going to determine who wins and who loses. And last night, we were just kind of texting around a little bit, and it's like, we are watching right now a race that's emerging, not necessarily a political campaign race, but a race for the future of this country. And it crystallized last night as we were watching the New York primaries shake out. And then at the same time, you're watching how Donald Trump and the MAGA movement are moving heaven and earth to try to create a new version of economics and policy that will take us into the future. You have, on the other hand, radical communist, socialist, Marxists, who we now know are funded largely and influenced exclusively almost by former East German ideology, are emerging on the other side. It is now a race to the finish line. Who's going to win? Is it going to be the communist, authoritarian, Marxist East Germans, or is it going to be the American system? So what we hope to do today is kind of paint a little bit of a picture of what that contrast looks like. Nom showed you the contrast already. It is crazy lunatic candidate running in Florida 16 as a non-affiliated, probably because he couldn't even get Democrats to support him, versus Clare Patriot, who's a mom, a woman, a content creator. You have one calling somebody a Nazi, threatening to dox her, and another one that's just having fun online, making a little bit of content, making some money, influencing people. You have, I want to do harm to this person. I just want to have a little bit of fun. That is the foundation, the beginning of what this contrast is going to look like today. And we have a whole bunch of examples of that. It goes all over the place. Maybe we should start with what happened in New York last night. Should we start there? Is that a good place?
Good as any.
All right. So as you guys know, last night, there were primary races, and I think in 4 different states. You had Donald Trump and his endorsed candidates went 10-0. 10-0. Another clean sweep for Donald Trump. But you also had a clean sweep as well on the other side. You had Zoran Mamdani, who is putting his political capital to work in New York City, endorsing, supporting, promoting radical left-wing socialist, Democrat socialist candidates to challenge the Democrat establishment. And last night, all 3 of his candidates won. You have radical socialism and you have MAGA merging to a finish line. Who's going to win? We need to take a look at some of the contrast here. Remember, Donald Trump, all 10 of his preferred candidates won. All 3 of Zoran Mamdani's candidates won. Not only did they win, but he unseated a 5 or 6 term incumbent in Dan Goldman. You guys know who Dan Goldman is?
Oh,
one
yeah,
of the
I put something in there about Dan Goldman because another contrast that I had in here has to do with Dan Goldman.
Well, let's pull that up real quick. Do you have
it a
that?
video or a
Harmeet.
screenshot?
You have to go to the H's. It's a screenshot. Harmeet.
Yeah. Liberty for all or liberty?
Whichever
Liberty for all.
about.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's a liberty for all.
Well, I pulled up the wrong one. So give me 1 second. Image file. Yeah. So, but this is, so this is related to what happened to him at that coffee shop, right?
Yep. So you have the Trump administration protecting the civil rights of all because we care about civil rights and the Constitution, and including Dan Goldman. So he gets kicked out of a coffee shop, and she posted and said that the civil rights is aware. I think they ended up writing a letter. She did several interviews about this as well, saying, we protect the civil rights of everyone, and you cannot deny someone's service on the basis of a protected characteristic. You can't do it because he's Jewish or because he, is an Israel supporter.
The bottom line is it doesn't matter at this point because the damage has already been done.
Can we just back up real quick about this Israel supporter thing, right? So to these insane anti-Semitic lunatics, where the Intifada from the river to the sea is all they care about, Dan Goldman is not an emphatic Israel supporter. He just believes the country has a right to exist, right? Which, okay, but to them, that is the original. You're on mute there, Junior. I can't hear you.
Yeah, they have moved beyond that.
Oh, I know.
Now, 10 years ago, the argument used to be, yeah, of course they have a right to exist, but they probably shouldn't be doing A, B, C, and D, and E. That used to be the standard Democrat talking point. That is no longer the Democrat talking point anymore. If you go in and you listen to people actually debate this topic, if you spend any time on social media, Odo Millennial has been having some incredible debate lives on YouTube or on TikTok recently. Last night, he had Mylar, or whatever the hell that guy's name is. He had like a 3-hour debate going on last night. And they actually believe that Israel does not have a right to exist at all. Like that is the
Have you-
standard.
Have
for
you
the
looked
Democrats
at the
now.
definition of the word Zionism or Zionist?
Yep. It means that Israel has the right to exist. Yeah, basically.
I mean,
that's
sign me up.
Mm-hmm.
But that is not the position that in order to even exist as even a moderate Democrat in America today, you can't even support the idea that Israel has a right to be. Like they shouldn't even exist. They are fully comfortable with entire genocide of every Jew, every Israeli, wiping it off the map. And if you even think that you can survive as a Democrat in that party and believe that Israel has a right to be, then you have no chance. There's no chance that you're going to win in this climate. Zoran Mamdani was successful at rage baiting enough people in New York City, along with these candidates, that they literally got a 6-term incumbent congressman kicked out of a coffee shop because he's Jewish. Like that's how insane these people are.
So from a contrast perspective, let's bring this back up, right? So that's the current makeup of the base of the remnants of the Democrat Party. Let's just go ahead and call them the DSA, the Democrat Socialists of America is who they are, right? But the East German Marxist Party. That's their belief. And over on the MAGA side of this, you've got an attorney or an assistant attorney general for the Civil Rights Division, Harmeet Dillon, who's doing her job and recognizing and enforcing the civil rights of everybody, is saying that the Civil Rights Division is aware of the denial of service taunts to Dan Goldman by Poetica Coffee in Brooklyn. Federal law prohibits public accommodations such as coffee shops from discriminating against patrons based on their race, religion, or national origin. The America First MAGA side of this contrast is, hey, Dan Goldman, as a Jewish person, has a right to go into your shop and purchase your coffee. You don't have a right to ban him or bar him from doing that. Now, I know what the leftists are going to say. Wow, what about the cakes? What about the cakes? It's a very different case. You might want to go read that Supreme Court decision, because those people who intentionally continue to go in there to try to create civil rights violations on this cake maker, and I think it was in Texas, they did it on purpose, number one, but he didn't deny them service. Colorado, they did it on purpose. He did not deny them the ability to purchase the cakes that were there. He just said, I'm not going to use my artistic ability to put a picture of Satan or two men getting married or create a special cake for your transition. I'm not going to do that, but you're welcome to buy any of the cakes that are currently in the shop, which, by the way, is completely constitutional. It's not the same thing. You said you aren't going to serve him because he's a Jew. Just go ahead and put a yellow star on his chest and send him out the door while you're at it.
I guarantee you that's where these people are headed.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
There's no doubt about it. That's where they're headed.
We already know. We already know this. And you remember, well, I can ask you at the end, but we already know all of this. I mean, remember, they labeled people. You had the FBI labeling people. The Biden administration was busy labeling people all over the place. We've talked all about the United We Stand Summit and how that all happened and what all came out of that. And that's where all of that censorship got all of the funding and the labeling, the policy push that was taking place from Susan Rice to SPLC. That's a part of all of that.
Yeah, that's right.
So I just want to real quick before we move on, I want to remind everybody in the chat, if you're over on Rumble and you don't have video, but you have audio, I can't fix it. Not while we're doing the show. You're going to have to go over to YouTube, or you have to go over to the X account at PSPod25 or PatriotDad's account, or my NomDePlume account on X is streaming live over there. I can't fix it while we're running the show. I'd have to delete that, set up a whole new destination. It's not possible to do.
Yep. Sorry about that. Now we're gonna stay on this particular topic in this particular space, because I think it's critical that we take a good hard look at a deeper level of the contrast, because it's not as though Zoran Mamdani put his political capital behind reasonable people. Like, he went out and found some of the most insane lunatics that he could possibly find. So we need to take a quick look at just a few of them. Now, admittedly, I have not studied the races of these people. I don't particularly know who beat which candidate. All I know is that a couple of these three candidates are freaking insane. Like lunatic level insane.
Every one of them are. There's
sure
not
they are.
a single one of them that are sane.
And we're not the only ones that are saying this. I mean, even John Fetterman is like, hello, America, we're in trouble. We've got anti-Israel, anti-American, anti-Western civilization candidates that are winning primaries in the Democrat Party. And he says, why am I the only Democrat in the US Senate that refuses to excuse this or defend any of these self-identified communists? And he's talking, it's not a video. There's just there's a Darla.
It's a screenshot.
Yeah, it's a Darisa Fetterman too.
Okay, I'll get it up.
Yeah, it's a post that he put out on X, and he's referring to the Mamdani-backed DSA-member-led radical group that demands total eradication of Western civilization. Holy crap. Did you guys know this? Like one of the candidates that just won the primary for the Democrat Party in New York is calling for the eradication of Western civilization.
This is the one that beat Goldman.
This is the one that beat Goldman?
Yeah, it's for New York 13 Congress, right? Isn't this the one that beat Goldman?
I thought it was somebody else. I don't think
it might not be. It says New York 13 Congress, so I didn't know.
Can you pull up Darisa 1, Nom, real quick? We're gonna do 1, 2, 3. We're gonna go through those real quick. 1, 2, 3. So Darisa is one of the candidates. This is the woman who, if I'm not mistaken, was one of the co-founders of, isn't she co-founder of the organization that Mahmoud Khalil is part of?
Columbia University Apartheid Divest, CUAD.
That's right. So meet Darisa Avilia Cavier, whatever, however you pronounce that. Chevalier. Chevalier. The winner of the Democrat primary in New York's 13th congressional district, who was endorsed by Moran Mamdani.
Moran Mamdani.
That's right. This is the woman who posted not that long ago that she was at a restaurant and forgot to get napkins. So her response was just to wipe her hands on the American flag behind her.
I have a question. Why in one picture is she not wearing a headscarf and in another picture she is?
Because she's a fraud.
Because she's a fraud and she's placating and she's pandering.
That's right.
She's pandering to the Muslim vote. So they spent a lot of time in their campaigns talking about economics and affordability and all this stuff. But every single one of these DSA East German Marxists that won over there in New York, the main point of their campaigns was free Palestine.
And for the record, this chick beat the incumbent Adriano Espia. However you say that.
There was a white dude who beat Dan Goldman. It was an older white guy. I can't remember his name. Laner, something like that.
But here's more about her. So as part of the CAUP, the Apartheid Divest organization that she was a co-founder of, their mission statement says, "We are Westerners fighting for the total eradication of Western civilization. We stand in full solidarity with every movement for liberation in the global South. Our intifada is an internationalist one. We are fighting for nothing less than the liberation of all people, except, of course, Western society," because she wants to eradicate that. "We reject every genocidal, eugenicist regime that seeks to undermine the personhood of the colonized, except for Western civilization," because she wants to eradicate that. "As the fascism ingrained in the American consciousness becomes ever..." I can't even read this crap without my head starting to hurt. This is the biggest load of total bullshit, claptrap, nonsense, retardation of the American people I think I've ever read.
But
this woman wants the eradication of Western civilization.
I need you guys to recognize real quick, you know how I'm always talking about language and pointing out how you can find these things. Notice they say internationalist one. They don't say globalist one. They say internationalist. They have not, I think I've mentioned this several times before. They don't use globalism anymore. They use internationalism.
Well, that's because they know globalism has been exposed. and they have to change it. They have to swap it out to make it more palatable, because nobody likes globalism, even though that's exactly what they're doing. They're globalists.
Yep.
They're
So,
can you get ready for 4? Can you pull 4?
I can real quick. So Claire, said the reason why she was wearing a head covering in one image and not in another is because as soon as she started to run, she converted to Islam.
Oh, well,
I mean, the ultimate
so you're
pander.
saying she wasn't Islamic before? I mean, like when she was occupying buildings on Columbia University's campus and at the encampments, and one of the founders of Columbia University, Apartheid Divest, along with Mahmoud Khalil and Mohsen Madawi, those two people that we've been trying to deport, that were being sued. A terrible lawsuit, by the way. Victims of October 7th, their families and hostages were suing Columbia University Apartheid Divest. Mahmoud Khalil and Mohsen Madawi are both named by name in the lawsuit, along with Students for Justice in Palestine and several others. This is what you're dealing with this person. And I don't know if people have very short memories or they just don't care. But these are the people that were like, that it is alleged in a lawsuit that there was prior knowledge of the October 7th attacks. This is the group we're talking about here, people.
Let's clarify. It's not that they didn't know or they don't know. It's that it's not even that they don't care. It's that they actually supported what Hamas did on October 7th in Israel.
That's right.
They supported it. They celebrated it. Israel deserved it. In fact, one of these ladies, and I think it's the one we just talked about, Chevalier. No, it wasn't. It was the other lady who actually wears a headscarf. The other Muslim lady who is Palestinian American. Yeah, Aber Khawas. Aber Khawas actually is an apologist for 9/11. There's an interview of her saying, "Listen, 9/11 happened for a couple of people. But you can't forget about all of the atrocities that the Americas inflicted on the Middle East and the Muslim people and the Persian. Basically every freaking buzzword that you would imagine would come out of Columbia or Harvard, or Princeton, or any of these other useless fucking organizations and institutions that are out there.
Cajun, calm down.
What did Cajun do?
No, we don't want Dan Goldman.
Dan Goldman is like terrible. Like if the Democrats are throwing Dan Goldman out, the Democrats are screwed. Dan Goldman was part of helping with all the stuff with the Stormy Daniels case in New York. I mean, like working with Michael Cohen, allegedly. I mean, this is not somebody you want in the Republican Party. This is somebody who would do anything they possibly could to win and to help the Democrats and to stop Trump.
Yeah, I mean, we listen for all of the, the MAGA, infighting, the crack in MAGA. What we just saw yesterday is just a nuclear bomb went off of the Democrat Party. And it's not something that the moderate, if there was any such thing as a moderate Democrat left, it's not something that they can win. They've lost their party. I think from a voter perspective, you will see a lot of moderate Democrats who are, kind of turned off by Trump and MAGA who are like, yeah, but you know what? Those guys are fucking nuts over there. You're going to see more migration over to our side of this. I think the fracture and the splinter. But they have a choice, right? We have the contrast, the foil is there, right? You have one choice at this point. Do you want, and we're going to get into the American system, do you want to try to actually save this country and set it up for productivity and success over the next 100 years? Or do you want to try the same failed nonsense socialist, Marxist, communist bullshit that has failed everywhere it's been tried? There's too many smart voters, but voters are smarter than this. They know they have one way to go or the other. They're not going to sit on the fence.
That's right.
At least I don't think so.
So I just want to show you guys one more. I think this is more from the organization, the Divest organization that she started, more details about the things that they believe. Obviously, they want to collapse the entire university structure and the American empire itself. She goes on to say, to divest from this is to undermine and eradicate America as we know it. Like, think about this, folks. Think about the contrast. You have the Trump administration the Trump endorsement, which is putting America first candidates in front of the electorate to vote for. And you have the Democrat Party, who's been wholly taken over by radical communists, are putting forth candidates that want to divest and undermine and eradicate America as we know it. And they are willing to use violence to do it, to translate their resistance in Gaza to unrest and violence in America. This is a woman who just won a Democrat Party primary.
She will very likely be in the House of Representatives next year
because that is a massively deep blue district. I don't know, man. I mean, I think there's a very strong case here if the Republicans were to keep the House to refuse to seat this woman.
Yeah.
I mean,
okay, what do you got?
She is advocating for the overthrow and the eradication of the country.
With violence if necessary.
I don't know how you seat somebody like that.
You have to understand that the DSA, the Democratic Socialists of America, is especially in New York, their New York office is funded in part by the government of Germany. You are talking about actual Nazis keeping Jewish people, just like the Columbia University Apartheid Divest. They were blocking Jewish students from being able to get to class. They were cornering Jewish students and trying to get them to denounce their faith. They were doing these things, harassing Jewish students on the Columbia campus. And for some reason, Columbia was afraid to stand up to these people. Lawsuits had to be filed. The Trump administration had to come into an office and start yanking grants and funding from these universities to try to put a stop to people's civil rights being violated at school, them afraid to go to school, afraid to go to class, afraid to sleep in their dorms. And you literally have actual Nazis. So the people that have been pointing at us this whole time, calling us Nazis, calling Trump a Nazi, calling him actually Hitler, they are the actual Nazis.
Nom, do you have the Data Republican post from earlier today where she dove into the connections between what's this?
This is the DSA Berlin when they were starting the Berlin chapter. This is from 2020. This is on their website. It's from 2020. After Bernie lost, they said Germany for Bernie has decided to form Berlin chapter of the Democratic Socialists of America. Despite Bernie Sanders' disappointing loss in the Democratic presidential primary, there is still a strong future for the leftist ideals to grow and gain influence in the U.S. and throughout the world. Progressive victories in recent primaries, including elections for national, state, and local level offices, have shown that left-wing politics still has real purchase in the U.S. Throughout this summer's primary calendar, Germany for Bernie has continued to fight for the candidates that support our ideals, including phone banking and texting for Rashida Tlaib, Jamal Bowman, and Ilhan Omar. In order to keep up our work as effectively as we can, we've decided to transition into a new organizational form as a group. After much deliberation and consultation with our closest supporters, Germany for Bernie made the decision to pursue forming one of the first international chapters of Democratic Socialists of America. This will allow us to keep up the work we do best, volunteering for candidates who share our values and discussing progressive ideas, as well as partnering with a growing organization back in the U.S., fostering ties with similar groups in Berlin and around the world, and fighting for local progressive issues.
I would just like to point out something, if I could, folks. That's actually treason, by the way. If you are colluding and collaborating and coordinating with foreign entities to overthrow the United States of America, which is in their language, it's actually treason. It's sedition if it's all inside. So Antifa, I'm sorry, what?
That language was the Columbia University Apartheid Divest. But they are extremely pro-Palestine, the DSA. Well, you've heard what all these people say.
So I got that thread up from SK and Data Republican. Is there something you want to go through here?
Well, yeah, I mean, it talked.
Where's the section in here where she talks about the connections to East Germany?
I got it.
It's the whole thing. Click on her post.
I feel like we need to go through this.
I got it up.
Do I need to get my glasses on to read this?
I reposted the conclusion, so you're gonna have to scroll up to the top because it's a thread.
Is this the whole thread?
It's at the very top of her page.
With receipts.
Right there.
Yeah.
There we go.
All right, major break, and we're going to go through this because I think it's important. German government has been grooming DSA leaders for over a decade, and nobody noticed. Last night, Darisa Chevalier, Cavalier, whatever her name is, endorsed by New York City DSA, Democrat Socialists of America, beat a 5-term incumbent to win New York's 13th congressional district. It goes on to say the Rosa Luxembourg Stiftung, the RLS, is the political foundation of Die Linke, the German parliamentary party formed from the merger of the Party of Democrat Socialism, itself the legal successor to East Germany's ruling Marxist party, the SKD. Holy crap. Literally the political successor of the collapsed East German Marxist party is the one who is promoting, funding, and driving the Democrat Socialists of America into New York City. This is unbelievable.
This goes on. This goes on. It says under German law, every party in the Bundestag gets a taxpayer-funded foundation. Die Linke's share is approximately 70 million euros annually. It goes on down to say in 2012, RLS opened a New York office with a federal tax ID. Their own annual report states with the help of funds from BMZ and the Foreign Office, the Rosa Luxembourg Stiftung maintains a network of international relationships. This includes financing its foreign offices. Over the last 13 years, Berlin has sent millions to this office. Despite these ties, no FARA registration for Rosa Luxembourg Stiftung was identified in the Department of Justice database. As always, patience as I pull this thread together. Do we want to listen to this?
Yeah,
Sure.
I mean, I think this is very important, all of it.
Okay.
And I have tons more
RLS
I can add.
NY-13 is part of the international network of the Rosa Luxembourg Foundation, Rosa Luxembourg Stiftung, RLS. RLS is a Berlin-based foundation associated with Germany's Left Party, which is currently the third strongest party in the national parliament, the Bundestag. And under German law, parties represented in the Bundestag are entitled to their own foundation, which is to be funded by public money. So RLS is in the unique position of receiving public money for its domestic as well as international work, which in our case means supporting democratic socialism in a variety of capacities. And this is where our office comes into play. RLS NYC is one of 18 RLS offices across the globe.
How is this legal? How is it legal for German public dollars to fund a German political party and then for them to set up a foundation or an entity inside the United States with a U.S. tax ID to funnel German tax dollars to the United States to impact and influence United States
we do
elections
all over the world?
Well, that's very different, actually. Actually, it is. It is very different.
Well, but here's the thing. There's a United States organization that has a foreign office, a foreign arm, and almost all of the big organizations on the left have this. This is something that is a recurring pattern, just like that hearing that I've told everyone they need to go watch about the foreign funding of NGOs. They flat out state in this hearing that Xi Jinping himself could be fully funding an NGO in the United States and no one would have any idea, and they don't have to say it's foreign funding because they set up an NGO here and then they just throw money in it, just like Roy Singham, just like that what this guy, however you say that Swedish dude's name, they all do this. We have foreign funding flowing in here from everywhere. But again, notice the Democrats are broke.
So the Democrat Party is only surviving today on communist money from places like East German associated political foundations out of Germany.
I mean,
Well,
I don't
and
see people
Soros
falling
and
over themselves to donate to the
Neville
Democrat Party.
Singham. Right. I mean, so that's right. I mean, it's a great point. The only money coming in to support these operations, and it's not coming into the Democrat Party, it's all going to the DSA and their network of NGOs and all that stuff, is coming from communist countries to influence our elections. That's amazing. It's mind-blowing.
This is unbelievable. I mean,
Do you
we
want
can
me to
go
bring it
through
back up?
I mean, SK, do we want to keep going through this? Do we want to keep going through the details?
I think it's extremely important. There's tons more that I can add on top of it as well.
Let's do it. No, I'll pull it back up. Let's go through these. They're not long posts. They're pretty short. Goes on and she says, Neil Mayer is listed on the Rosa Luxembourg Foundation's payroll as project manager. Mayer previously served as New York City DSA's chapter treasurer from 2016 to 2018. And there's some receipts there that go along with it. The next post, on January 15th, Mayer published Big Stakes in the Big Apple on rosalux.nyc, a strategic analysis of DSA's electoral prospects after Mamdani's mayoral race. 1 week later, NYC DSA voted endorsed Darisa Chevalier, whatever the hell her name is, for New York 13. So these guys are these guys are absolutely driving these candidates. There's no doubt about it. Yeah.
Here's my question, and my screen is, I'm not able to switch tabs, so I can't change the view. Maybe if you want to. My question is, didn't we like have an entire, I don't know, case against someone called Paul Manafort that had to do with sharing internal polling data with Russia?
We sure did.
How did this foreign entity, Rosa Lux or whatever, how did they end up getting internal polling data from the DSA? Didn't we prosecute Paul Manafort for doing that?
Well, we prosecuted Paul Manafort because he was connected to Donald Trump, but because these guys are doing it through U.S.-based NGOs, I mean, I don't know what the law there is, and I don't think anybody does, and that might be the problem, that there may not actually be a law to prohibit this. You see, one thing these guys are really good at is finding ways around the law and through the law to infiltrate our country.
Yeah, that's what their laws against us.
They're using our laws against us. That's exactly right. All right. So it goes on and says, Mayer is not the only documented personnel crossover from RLS NYC into DSA. Heidi Chua, RLS NYC office manager from 2013 to 2017, listed on the 990 PF, is at approximately $60,000 a year. Active DSA member while on the German payroll. So she's an active member of the DSA while on Germany's payroll. By January 2019, she was on DSA's national staff. So you have staff members of the DSA who were receiving actual income from Germany. Then it goes on. You have Ethan Earle, RLS New York City project manager for 7 years, 2012 to 2018. He was a member of DSA's International Committee, the committee responsible for DSA's foreign party relationships. He hosts What Winning Looks Like for the Rosa Luxembourg Foundation's Berlin YouTube channel. The money trail is simple because there's only one source, the German government. The RLS 2024 annual report states, this includes financing its foreign offices. The New York office is listed on page 40 as one of those offices. Liebach is described on 39 as head of our New York office. I mean, these guys are just in your face about it. They brag about it, about how they are the DSA in New York City. RLS supports DSA through program expenditures, training, conferences, publications, staff salaries for people like Meyer and Earle. Those costs appear as aggregate line items on the 990 PF. They don't show up on DSA's books. Afro-socialist and socialist of color. This is crazy. August 2014, RLS NYC convened 100 leftists for a 4-day strategic retreat in New York, mapping socialist strategies. Organizations like DSA, Communist Party, and Freedom Road Socialist Organization were represented. Advisory group includes Maria Svart, the then DSA National Director. SK, feel free to jump in anytime you want to add something.
You're fine. You can keep going. You guys have heard me talk about FRSO. You've heard me talk about a lot of these things, but you keep going because I have a graphic I want you to put up in a minute. I think I put it in the Dropbox. I'll check.
Cool. July 2025, RLS NYC published the long reroute by David Nalade, whatever, the chair of DSA. Yeah, the chair of DSA Fund. The publication was described as preparatory material for DSA members attending the 2025 National Convention. And this article says a historical comparison between the Debsian Socialist Party of America and the New Democratic Socialists of America. And then it says, how do today's Democratic Socialists of America compare to the Socialist Party of Eugene Debs? In the long reroute, author and longtime DSA member David Delade offers a rich historical analysis of the U.S. socialist movement, tracing key debates on labor, electoral politics, and internal party dynamics across generations. This publication is both a resource for DSA members ahead of the 2025 National Convention and a primer for anyone seeking to understand the evolution of the largest socialist organization in the United States today. By recovering lessons from the past and challenging misleading historical comparisons, the long reroute equips organizers, delegates, and observers to navigate the strategic crossroads facing the socialist movement now. So basically, they were just looking to whitewash history so that their new converts into democratic socialism don't have to worry about answering questions about why hundreds of millions of people over the last 200 years were genocided and slaughtered at the hands of these people or at the hands of their ideology. They're just going to whitewash it. The current director of RLS NYC, Stefan Liebach, born December 30th, 1972 in Weimar, East Germany, joined the PDS, the SED successor party. In 1990, at age 18, served as Die Linke Bundestag member from 2009 to 2021 and chaired their foreign affairs parliamentary group. A former foreign affairs parliamentarian from the party that descends from the East German Communists now runs the New York arm of that party's foundation. So they have a former foreign affairs parliamentarian from the party that descends from East German communists are now running the New York arm of that party's foundation. On April 8th, 2026, Liebach published 100 Days of Mayor Mamdani on rosalux.nyc. In it, he noted that the foundation has collaborated for a number of years with C. Weaver, the tenants' rights activist Mamdani appointed as director of the mayor office to protect tenants on his first day in office.
Yeah, and C. Weaver was a close associate and confidant of Mamdani. She was that one chick who basically who was the first one that came out and said, yeah, we're just going to take the property. We're just going to take it from them.
March 2018, RLS NYC organized the first ever delegation of European left party officials to the Congressional Progressive Caucus Strategy Summit in Baltimore. On the other side of those meetings, Elizabeth Warren, Nancy Pelosi, Ro Khanna, Barbara Lee, Pramila Jayapal. Shocker, Ro Khanna's in those meetings. Of course he is. A German government-funded foundation brokered introductions between Eastern Socialist Party officials and sitting U.S. members of Congress.
Folks, I want you, hold on, stop. I want you to consider how absolutely absurd what you just heard there absolutely is. You got Elizabeth Warren, you got Nancy Pelosi and Ro Khanna. Nancy Pelosi and Ro Khanna are two of some of the richest Democrats in Congress from insider trading or potential insider trading. Ro Khanna has 10x'd his personal wealth since he's been in Congress. Capitalism while they're playing the socialism game. Again, they will get richer and you all will get poorer. Do you think that Nancy Pelosi or Ro Khanna intends to ever separate themselves from any of their wealth to play the socialist game? No, they don't, because socialism is not for them. It's for you. And that's it. That's insane.
This is crazy. All right, we got 3 more to go through real quick, and they're pretty short. Every major German party has a taxpayer-funded Stiftung. CDU has Konrad Adenauer. SPD has Friedrich Ebert. The Greens have Heinrich Boll. FDP has Friedrich Naumann. But Rosa Luxembourg is unique. In reviewing the other foundation's U.S. programming, no evidence was identified that any of the non-RSL foundations run training programs for a U.S. political organization, maintain concurrent staff pipelines in U.S. political organizations, or publish convention strategy for a U.S. political organization. So Rosa Luxembourg is the only one of all of the German Stiftungs, which are just foundations. They're the only ones that have concurrent U.S. political organizations, maintain concurrent staffing pipelines, or publish convention strategies for U.S. political organizations. So the only German taxpayer-funded foundation that is invested, or should I say infiltrated, the U.S. political system happens to be the one whose office is led by a former parliamentarian of the successor of the East German Communists. She goes on and says, Rosa Luxembourg does not appear in FARA search results. How is that possible? How is it possible that a German foundation does not have to register under FARA? 100% German government funding. Staff who simultaneously held leadership positions in a U.S. political organization. Training and campaign strategy. Convention strategy publications written by officers of the target organization. A delegation of European party officials to a U.S. congressional caucus retreat. And no FARA registration. SK, you look like you're getting ready to jump in and say something.
No, after you're finished with this, I have a graphic I want you to pull up. I think it says something like communism and Antifa or something like that.
Okay, let me read this conclusion. So the conclusion that Data Republican Post, German Bundestag appropriates 70 million euro a year to Rosa Luxembourg Stiftung in Berlin. Their own annual report says, quote, this includes financing its foreign offices. Cumulative review of the New York office, 19.1 million over 13 years. New York office employs Neil Mayer, who served as NYC DSA's treasurer and published DSA electoral strategy from the German Foundation's platform. New York office's director, born in East Germany and a former Bundestag member of the party that descends from the SED, publishes performance evaluations of a DSA mayor while claiming years of collaboration with his appointees. Folks, that link right there is devastating. It links directly to the predecessor of the East German Communist Party. NYC DSA votes 82% to endorse Darisa Chevalier Cavalier, whatever the hell her name is, and then she wins. Everything in this thread is from the public IRS filings, the foundation's own website, and the foundation's own YouTube channel. The pipeline runs from the Bundestag to the United States House of Representatives, and it has been in public view the entire time.
Oh, it gets better.
Didn't we spend 4 years like on a hoax and then, you know, an impeachment and all that stuff under the premise that foreign influence in U.S. elections was illegal? Didn't they try to hang that around Trump's neck?
I think one of them was about Trump withholding funding to a foreign government because he was telling them that they needed to reopen investigations into Hunter Biden and all of that, which is funny because Joe Biden actually said out loud, I told them they weren't going to get their money until they fired the prosecutor. And hot damn, or whatever he said, what do you know? They fired him.
SK, what did you want us to pull up after this?
I think it says communism and Antifa.
I got it. I'm going to get it right now. Communism and Antifa, and it's an image. Oh, my computer's moving super slow.
Oh, I see it.
So once we get it, communism and Antifa. Come on up. I'm gonna shut down. Well, my computer's not happy with me. We got too much going on. All right, get into that, SK. What you got?
All right. So the top left one is the 1933 paramilitary wing of the Communist Party of Germany. Weird, huh? Then you have the 2017 paramilitary wing of the Democratic Party of America, Anti-Fascist Action. But actually, their name is actually in German, the actual Antifa. But you know what we're referring to. And Germany's Communist Party, the KPD, campaign office with Antifa sign on the front of it in Germany.
And just to be clear, folks, we talked about this briefly last week, and I want to reiterate it again because it's really important that you understand this. There is basically no difference between fascist and anti-fascist communist. There's basically no difference at all. The primary difference between the two, particularly back in the 1930s when they were forming their anti-fascist movement in Germany, the only thing that made them different from each other is the fact that communists don't care about borders. That's it. Fascists actually cared about their border. They respected their national identity. The proletariat did not want to necessarily eat the bourgeoisie in Germany or in Italy because they were all Italians and they just watched their countrymen come back from World War I, blown up, defeated. The communists wanted the Italian proletariat to eat the Italian bourgeoisie, and they weren't willing to do it. That's the difference. That's it. Same authoritarian style of control, same Marxist ideology, same thing. Government controls the means of production and therefore controls every aspect of your life. In a fascist economy, they had the patina of private property, but that private property was always deployed exactly the way the government expected it to be deployed, or it wasn't your property anymore. They would take it from you and give it to somebody else.
Yeah, essentially, you got to keep your name on the building. That was it.
That was it.
That was it.
But can you put that image back up, please?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I got rid of it, but I'm going to right back up.
I see there's a lot of talk in the chat about gas prices because we're going to talk about that too. Because man, you want to talk about a contrast.
So the Communist Party of Germany, that's the KPD. Okay. Now, the KPD, the paramilitary work was done by the Anti-Fascist Action, which in German, I can't say that, but it means Anti-Fascist Action. This is just a modern picture saying Anti-Fascist Action, even though there is a German one. It's still the same flag. So you have to understand that the paramilitary was collapsing the government basically for the Communist Party before the Nazis took over. That's exactly what happened. And that's exactly what's playing out in the US today. Like, this is all part of the color revolution, and nobody even realizes what's going on. It's really kind of crazy.
Well, I think a lot of people realize what's going on. The problem is the wheels of justice either aren't paying attention or are moving so incredibly slow that these people are amassing enough momentum that at this point, it's really just a race across the finish line.
But Antifa was calling for a civil war back then, and they're doing it today as well.
Yeah, of course they are.
And we just had all those Antifa people put in jail. So another contrast is these people are pushing for these things. The hammer and the sickle of the communists came from that. They had the, they would say like anti-fascist and hunger or something like that.
let's jump over to that real quick, unless you wanted to stay on this for anything else you want to add to this topic.
No, I just think it's really important that people pay attention.
Yeah, it is absolutely critically important that people pay attention, that the Democrat Party has been wholly taken over by these radical lunatics, which you guys have known, but it's important for you to have the context and the details on it. Did you guys see the convictions and the sentences of the Antifa members down in Texas? You guys remember the John Brown Gun Club connected Antifa organization?
Yeah, many states are trying to stop their death penalty, and Texas is putting in an express lane, people.
Yeah,
I mean, one of them got 100 years. One of them got 70.
The leader got 100
it's like
years.
400 and something years combined. But this is all the organization. We've talked about these organizations all on here. The organization came out of the John Brown Gun Club. This is, again, all tied to the same shit. Just like Armed Queers Salt Lake City was trading with John Brown Gun Club. They were involved in the shooting at Salt Lake City No Kings protest. It's all the same shit over and over and over again.
SK, you absolutely hit the nail on the head right after Charlie Kirk was assassinated when you made the statement on this show that his assassination was going to open this wide up, because it wasn't that long after that we uncovered the Armed Queers SLC and their direct training connection to the John Brown Gun Club. By the way, remember, Armed Queers SLC is the one with Ermia Finian as the founder of it, who seems to have been somehow connected to the accounts that had foreknowledge of Charlie Kirk's assassination, was providing training support for the John Brown Gun Club, which is where these Antifa terrorists originated from, and attacked a federal facility and killed, or I'm sure saying, I'm sorry, and shot a federal employee in the neck.
It's almost like there could be some conspiracy behind this, and like organizations fueling hate groups with funding and labeling people on the right as racists and Nazis and things like that in order to get these other people worked up. And it's like that. It's almost like it's manufactured. Weird.
That's right. So the contrast here is, think about this. You've got the loser running in Florida 16 down there calling Clare Patriot a Nazi, a terrorist. And at the same time, you have East German connected DSA offices that have the exact same ideology and historical roots as actual domestic terrorists who were just sentenced collectively to over 450 years in federal prison for attacking an ICE facility and shooting a federal employee in the neck, who also, by the way, happens to be connected to the Armed Queers SLC or Mia Finian and the Charlie Kirk assassination. Like, think about that contrast, folks. You have the president of the United States who's actively working to clean up our country. You've got the FBI that has some of the most incredible crime statistics in any of our lives, has the lowest murder rate in at least 100 years. There hasn't been a time period that any of us can remember where you've seen such a dramatic drop in assaults and burglaries, in murders and in rapes. You've got, at this point, probably close to 4 million people who have either self-deported or been involuntarily deported. You have deportations ramping up to thousands a day at this point. And then you have, on the other side, you have Antifa terrorists convicted who have the same ideology as the people who are being nominated in a Democrat primary yesterday.
Can I interrupt this programming and play a video? And then I would like to understand how the people, like in this video I'm getting ready to play, are going to rationalize what he's getting ready to do, given the contrast of what we know exists in the smoldering pile of what's left of the Democrat Party and the American system.
Apparently it's not. Midterm elections are not presidential elections. You're either voting to give Donald Trump more power or less power. You're either voting to give Donald Trump more accountability or less accountability. I'm voting Democrat, not because I want to push Democrat policies. What I want is to limit Republican policies, because the direction that the Republicans are taking us are not the direction that Donald Trump campaigned on. Donald Trump freaking lied to us. He did some stuff good. You know, closed the border from the big, beautiful bill, which also increased our debt ceiling and our spending deficit, but that's neither here nor there.
Fraud, liar.
I'm turning him off.
I'm going to watch my mouth. My wife's going to be so pissed at me.
This is one of the faggot-losertarians.
This guy is a freaking imbecile.
Yeah, he told the entire world that he's a conservative influencer and MAGA and America First and all of that stuff. How are you going to square the fact that you're voting for Democrats now when you recognize, or maybe you don't, maybe you're just too stupid to understand this, that what you're actually voting for is East German style communism in this country with a little spicy side of Islamism?
I'm convinced that total retards like this guy aren't going to vote at all, or probably will vote Republican, but are saying the things that they're saying simply because they're making money doing it. Because nobody gave a shit about anything this guy said before he suddenly came out as this anti-MAGA influencer who claims that he voted for MAGA 3 times. And then suddenly Donald Trump lied to him. How in the hell can you make the argument that Donald Trump lied to you when literally everything that he has done since he took office again is documented in Agenda 47, and 19 out of those 20 items in Agenda 47 have either been completed or started and are in the process of completion? There hasn't been one thing that Donald Trump said he was going to do that he hasn't started or completed doing. And there hasn't been one thing that he said he wasn't going to do that he's done. Now, if you're a total moron and don't understand the difference between ending forever wars by eliminating the globalist chokehold in Iran, and you think that means that he said no wars, then you're a moron. You're not a smart person. And you probably shouldn't be engaging in political content creation because you sound like a total idiot. If you're making an argument that you're voting against Republican policies because they're taking us in the wrong direction, but you're going to vote for people who are connected to East German communists, then you're a shitty person.
Yeah, I think I can't wrap my head around it. I mean, I don't know how you call yourself a conservative and then one day you're like, you know what? I'm just going to be a Democrat now. There's nothing on the Democrat platform that offers anything of substance or anything good for this country. Not one thing. What is their platform? Free stuff? It's never free. It's not going to be free. You're not going to get it done. It's not free. It's going to make everything more expensive. I mean, what else is there? I mean, there's borders. We don't want borders. We want illegal aliens to get citizenship. We want illegal aliens to vote. We want fraudulent elections. We want taxpayer-funded transition surgery. What kind of insane person says, you know what, of all of the medical things that are out there, the one that I demand taxpayers fund is abortions and genital mutilation? Are you fucking kidding me? And this guy at one point said I voted for Trump 3 times, but no, I'm in for that now. I've signed me up for that. Give me more underage genital mutilation on the taxpayer's dime. Nah, fuck that guy. Nah.
Well, look, the leftist engagement on social media has now morphed itself into the faggot engagement. And these guys are making money hand over fist by just exposing themselves, excuse me, as total idiots. And they love it. They absolutely love it. I want to real quick, SK, and I don't know if you have anything to add here. I want to make sure we bring you in, but I just want to touch on less than 100 days and Iran conflict is almost over. So that moron made video after video after video after video over the last 100 days talking about how Donald Trump was going to take us into a forever war. We were going to see $200 barrel of oil. Israel was leading the United States around by our nose. Donald Trump had sold out and lied to the American people. And less than 100 days later, that conflict is over. It's over. So when you have people like that go out and make a video in their car talking about how Republican policies are leading us in the wrong direction, and yet they were the same people who for the last 3 months were telling you that we were going into a forever war and were wrong, maybe they're wrong about everything else too.
Oh, you mean like that artist formerly known as whatever the hell his name is? How he did, I don't know, half a dozen videos swearing and predicting that the oil price was going to be $150 to $200 barrels. I mean, we went back and forth on this, he and I, in DMs and publicly.
No correction.
Never happened. So why no correction? No
No.
correction, no nothing. When what's oil at now? Like $68?
It bottomed out this morning. The WTI bottomed out this morning around 69. Brent crude dropped down to 72. And we can talk about that here in a minute because there's a hell of a
that's more than
contrast to
half
stuff.
of your prediction. That's more than half of your prediction, folks. So why would anybody listen to anything that you say if you get it so terribly wrong time after time after time after time? You never issue a correction on any of it, and then you just keep making predictions. Like, for instance, the artist formerly known as Jess, who's now out there saying that Iran will nuke
Israel.
Israel will nuke the peace agreement by literally launching nukes. So he's predicting that Israel is going to launch nukes to blow this thing up. Do you have any idea how much of a global pariah Israel will actually be if they use nukes, nuclear weapons?
Israel's not using nukes. They have no reason to use nukes.
No.
None. They don't need to use nukes because even if they need to defend themselves, they are well equipped without nuclear weapons to use them. They don't need them at all.
So, but
That's
this is going on. This is all over the place because then you have this guy, Ethan Levins. Guys, folks, this is the contrast, right? You got this guy over here, Ethan Levins. I don't know who this is. He says, "Why is Israel allowed to have nuclear weapons but not Iran?" Israel.
I made a funny video about this earlier today.
Israel has attacked and invaded multiple countries this year. Do you not understand the difference between defending yourself from thousands of rockets being lobbed into your country when the terrorist organizations, the Hezbollah, the Houthis, and Hamas that are doing it are being funded by Iran? Do you not understand the difference when the people who are funding and funneling and paying for and enabling all of that terrorism to go on in the Middle East, destabilizing the entire place and endlessly bombing Israel, invading Israel on October 7th, and brutally raping and murdering men, women, and children from the Islamic regime who tells you that they are trying to get nuclear weapons because they intend to use them against the United States of America and Israel. The difference in the reason why Israel gets to have nuclear weapons is because they have never said, "I'm going to nuke you if I have them."
Oh, there's another reason, two other reasons. So I don't know if you guys know this or not, but Iran signed on to the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Agreement back in the 1960s. They signed the agreement in 1968. They ratified the agreement in 1970. As part of that agreement, they signed on as a non-nuclear nation, and they committed to never developing nuclear weapons. And then they spent the next 50 years violating that agreement by pursuing nuclear weapons. But that's not the only reason why they're not allowed to have one. The other reason is because we effing said so. And we have a president with balls big enough to make sure that they don't.
Yeah.
And why is Israel allowed to have one? First of all, nobody knows for certain if Israel has a nuclear weapon. I think it's just assumed because they've always had a policy of ambiguity where they basically say, "Nah, we're not really going to tell you." But they never signed any non-proliferation agreement.
They're also not running around the planet saying, "I'm going to use it if I get them."
That's right. And
it's
again,
the dumbest thing Iran has ever done. So, but we have to understand, like these mullahs, these hardliners, these insane radicals that if women don't cover themselves, they can be stoned to death. We'll throw gays and lesbians and trans people, all of you trans for Iran and trans for Palestine. They're happy to toss you right off the building. They
no, not yet,
Chickens
not yet,
for
not yet.
KFC. Chickens for KFC.
Chickens for KFC.
Not yet. They're not. They're gonna ride that transgender ideology all the way into power, and then they throw them off the building.
No. They will. No. they will pretend like they won't do that here, but in Iran they'll actually do that today, and then they'll partner with the chickens for KFC folks over here while they're doing it. I had a point, but I don't remember what it was.
SK, you got anything to add to this? Nam and I have been just riffing here, and I just want to make sure that
I think it's very important that we put up that post that I sent you guys this morning, because it's terrifying, and it's true. It's absolutely true.
Yeah, I got it. Here it is. So this post went nuclear on X yesterday, and I don't think it's a done deal, but I do believe, we'll get to it, we'll read it, but I do believe that we are already seeing, at least from what we just read in that thread from Data Republican with SK's work on top of that, is that these folks have spent years studying exactly how to use our own laws, our own republic, our own freedoms against us to destroy us. So let's go through this. So this guy, Oprah Benstock Kafir, says, as an expert on Islam, I state the U.S. is finished. It has no idea at all that this is coming for it, and it has zero tools to defend itself. On the contrary, the tools it does have will be turned against it to destroy it. Islam will wipe it out. It will be brutal and far worse than anything happening in Western Europe. The haters of Israel and the Jews in America will pay a heavy price for the elections and the side they chose. So will their children and grandchildren who compound interest collected by members of the Islamic Ummah. They will tear down the democratic system and the Constitution by using the tools of democracy and the Constitution itself, while shaking the foundations of American existence in ways that have not happened since independence. It will be devastating. The U.S. will slide into civil war that will make the wars in Syria and Iraq look like child's play. This is not a maybe. It will happen for sure. So what is he talking about? So there's
I have a bone to pick with that, but go ahead.
Well, let me play this. Let me play this video, and we'll show you what he's.
Do you have the video of the Islamic Ummah in the United States?
No, I don't have that. Yeah. This is exactly what he's talking about. Now, this is in Manchester. Folks, that's the streets of Manchester in the United Kingdom. What he's saying there is it's already too late. And I think I've told this story over and over and over again. I got a good friend of mine, is English. He's been here about 20 years. And he started telling us about 15 years ago. He said, it's already too late. The UK and Europe is already gone. We can't stop it. I think what's the number? Like 25 years ago, there was about 50,000 Muslims in all of Europe and the UK. Now there's 50 million of them. 50 million of them. The only way you stop this is you get a handle on legal immigration and mostly illegal immigration. And then you also root out the fraud and you stop all of the welfare payments, because this is able to metastasize in Europe because they get there and they have been surviving and sucking out every dollar they can off the social welfare programs while they're breeding at a rate of 3 to 4x of what native Europeans are. We all know how they do it. We can actually stop this from happening. But what he's saying is he thinks it's too late. I don't know that it is. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, it's not too late. The United States has one undefeatable component that Europe does not have.
The 2A.
Well, that's part of it. But we are a covenant nation. We are a nation that at our foundation entered into a covenant with an almighty God who has put a hedge of protection around this country. And no matter how difficult it looks out there are still tens of millions of prayer warriors in this country who are not going to allow this to happen. We will fight on our knees, and then we will grab our bacon if we have to fight in the streets. This is the fundamental difference between the United States and Europe. They abandoned God years ago. We have not. And I know this is not a faith-based platform, although I am a faith-based person, and I am not willing to forgo the providence that comes along with being a country bathed for generations in prayer to stop this from happening. This is the only reason why this country still thrives. It's the only reason. And it is the thing that will stop this dead in its tracks, along with a bunch of bacon. So get your bacon ready, folks. Get your prayers ready, folks, because we're not letting this happen. It's not happening. The other thing I'll caution people on is this. As I've been studying kind of this British Empire, this City of London globalist regime, how they operate, it's becoming pretty clear to me that a lot of what people are fearful of is in fact part of the binary choice that is presented through the globalist system to keep people focused on one thing or another instead of what the globalists are doing. The anti-Israel, pro-Islam, radical leftism are basically a globalist creation, along with the globalist Republicans, the FAGA, the fake-ass black pill wannabe America First crowd, who were pitted against this country. We have a choice here. We can look at the contrast and make a conscious decision that we would rather, as a country, submit ourselves to an almighty God, deploy an economic model that we know works, instead of live in fear of communism and Islam merging together and East Germans influencing New York City politics. That's the contrast. That's the choice. That's the race that is shaping up between now and the midterm elections. You choose. You get to pick. Do you want a country with a future, with an economy that grows and provides prosperity and wealth and national sovereignty and an identity you can be proud of? Or do you want to go back into a model that collapses every time it's tried?
You mean this model that we're actually starting to root out? Because if you don't do what the DOJ is doing now, you become Europe. What am I talking about?
Just the beginning. Fraudsters can no longer rip off American taxpayers. If you seek to harm or cheat Americans, we will find you, seize any assets, and prosecute you to the fullest extent of the law.
President Trump directed this administration to confront healthcare fraud aggressively, and we are doing that. The 2026 National Healthcare Fraud Takedown uncovered $6.5 billion in alleged fraud, the second largest amount ever charged in a single healthcare fraud operation. The Department of Justice charged a record number of Medicaid fraud defendants. More than 440 defendants now face charges. Today's cases include the largest Medicaid fraud enforcement action in the Department of history. 165 defendants charged with allegedly submitting more than $200 million in false claims to Medicaid. These schemes did not target government programs. They targeted the American taxpayer. They stole money from workers who pay taxes, from families who depend on Medicare and Medicaid, and from patients who trusted their healthcare professionals to be serving their health interests when it turns out they were just chasing money from our agencies.
There's a contrast. Nom, we have a Rumble rant, it looks like,
We
from
do.
Family Crest.
I've got it up here. Sorry, I'm not watching Rumble right now because there's no video, so I didn't actually realize anybody was still over there. Yes, we're from Family Crest, the $10 Rumble rant that says communism. That's
Communism.
Communism. Oh my God, I should have read that a little bit closer.
Communism.
So
Yeah.
so you've got, real quick, I've got one more thing I want to do because I had a plan with this. So that's what the Democrat left side of this contrast offers you, right? That's what they're offering you, is frankly fraud and bankruptcy and funding. Because remember, Ro Khanna and Bernie Sanders, they want to steal 5% of the wealth of all 900 billionaires so that they can refund those programs that were cut because fraud was happening all over the place. So they were cut because they identified there's fraud. We don't need the money in that program because we're stopping the fraud. And now they want to add the money back in. That's what you get. Meanwhile, over on the other side, on our side, this is what we get. You don't get that from the leftists. You get Antifa flags and you get Molotov cocktails and you get ICE raids and direct actions and riots and murders and rapes. That's what we get. That's what we want. Okay.
SK, you came off mute. Go ahead.
I just wanted to say that video right there, that's from the Space Cowboy PBR rodeo.
Mhm.
And that was put on by the U.S. Space Force.
That's awesome. Is that a drone show? Is that what that was?
Mhm.
A coordinated drone show? Those things are so cool.
Yep.
By the way, Nom, there's more to that contrast that you just laid out, because what the Department of Justice is doing is showing you what MAGA offers, which is accountability for the fraud, waste, and abuse. Donald Trump started that with the One Big Beautiful Bill, where he slashed $1.1 trillion from various programs that were just wrought with fraud, wrought with waste, wrought with abuse. He tried to cut almost $2 trillion, but of course the lame ass Republicans ended up trimming it down to 1.1 trillion. And by the way, whoever it was that said earlier, that idiot who claims to have voted for MAGA 3 times and then is now becoming a communist loving Democrat voter, who claimed that the One Big Beautiful Bill added a bunch of money to the deficit. You're just a moron. I'm sorry. I can't help you if you still buy the argument that it adds to the deficit when you allow people to keep more of their money. I'm sorry. I can't help you if you think that the CBO scoring tax cuts as the federal government spending money is somehow a legitimate way to calculate people keeping their own money. You're just a moron. As a matter of fact, that's what caused the deficit increase, according to the CBO, was tax cuts.
But it was even worse this time around. And if this guy had, I don't know, had like half a brain, he would have understood that what the CBO was scoring in those tax cuts was not new tax cuts. It was extending the existing tax cuts, but they continued to still score it as new tax cuts and deficit spending or lost revenue.
He's a moron.
Literally nothing changed.
He's a moron.
Nothing at all. Their stupid algorithm takes existing tax cuts and say, hey, we're going to renew those. We're going to make them permanent. Like, well, those are new tax cuts and we got to score those with the existing tax cuts and new. It was stupid.
Yeah, he's a moron. But the point I wanted to make is that the contrast that we should be looking at in terms of the Department of Justice announcing another 160 indictments for fraud, totaling over 450 total indictments so far since they opened up this new task force. The MAGA is holding people accountable for fraud. And then you have Ro Khanna and Bernie Sanders proposing their billionaire wealth tax and using that to fund the exact same programs that 450 some people were just indicted for defrauding. On one side of the contrast, you have
to the problem.
That's right.
No fixes to the problem.
On one side of the contrast, you have people who are trying to root out waste, fraud, and abuse and hold those fraudsters accountable. On the other side, you have one of the richest politicians in Congress who has 10x'd his personal wealth, or should I say his wife's personal wealth, by being the most prolific stock trader in Congress, who wants to reestablish the exact same pools of money that those people were just indicted for fraud for. Like, that's the contrast. It's incredible. SK, you look really bored over there. Are you doing okay?
Yeah. I am.
She's like,
There's a lot of stuff that I put in there.
what do you want to go to?
I think we're way past it.
No, we're not. We can go back. What do you want to go back to?
I mean, I think it's important for people to understand that this stuff is all tied together and show more ways it's all tied together. Mahmoud Khalil was at the watch party for that chick that won from the Columbia University Apartheid Divest. The lawsuit that mentions Columbia University Apartheid Divest, Mahmoud Khalil, Mohsen Madawi, Students for Justice in Palestine, Moron Mamdani, he started a chapter of Students for Justice in Palestine in college. I mean, these people are all they're all connected. They're all the same. It's the same thing over and over again, copy and paste.
What do you mean PatriotDad's neck is going to start hurting with that new setup? I have a monitor here in front of me. That's about it. What do you mean?
You guys, so SK, I'm going to play this video and then I want you to remind us who this is. Okay. Remind it for the folks in the chat who may not remember all the details of this. Remind us who this guy is.
For New York, for the people who are sick of being left out, of being always left out of the politics and of sending their money to foreign powers. And of course, immigration is a big part of this case. Espaya did not support me. He rather prioritized AIPAC interests. He prioritized Colombia's interests over his own community.
Who is that guy?
That's Mahmoud Khalil, the one that had the pregnant wife that the Trump administration's been trying to deport since almost minute one that they came into office because of the ties to Teaism, because he grew up in a UNRWA, UNRWA refugee camp in Lebanon. He went to school at he didn't go to American University of Beirut. They said that in the beginning, but it's a different one. Mohsen Madawi went to school at the Bezrit University in Palestine. One of his cousins was part of the Hamas armed terrorist wing. There's CNN articles about when the IDF killed him, and he has eulogies and stuff to his cousin, who he respected greatly and speaks so highly of, that was an actual terrorist. That university he went to, they have to save seats on the student council for the terrorists. They have terrorist parades. This guy is 30-something years old. He's been in college since 2008. Mohsen Madawi.
So he's just he's a career college student who stirs up trouble?
Starting all of these different organizations at all these campuses he's been to in the United States.
Hold on.
SK, can you respond to this real quick? Also,
before we do, I have a question. I have a question about Mahmoud Khalil. So he's here on a student visa. And he's been in college since 2008.
No, Mohsen Madawi has. Mahmoud Khalil is the one that lied on his application. He grew up in an UNRWA. And remember, UNRWA, we've separated from UNRWA because Israel was accusing them of having volunteers participating in October 7th. And UN did an investigation and they found that, in fact, they didn't really say, well, they 100% were participating. They were like, well, there could have been some participation. So we made them leave the organization. He was a volunteer for UNRWA and he lied on his application to come here. He met his wife in a refugee camp in Lebanon. I think it was Lebanon.
Why is a non-citizen in this country bemoaning the fact that he doesn't get to contribute or participate in our politics.
Well,
because that's what he just did.
Participating in our politics. He's
Well,
the one that's had
he's
the-
absolutely
had the
participating in
megaphone
it.
on Columbia University. He's one of the co-founders of Columbia University Apartheid Divest with Mohsen Madawi, the guy that's been in college for forever and been to like 3 or 4 different universities in the United States, has actual ties to terrorists. There's the lawsuit that names them by name, alleging that these organizations had prior knowledge of October 7th. And this is who they elected to represent the New York Congressional District 13 or whatever it is.
Yep. At a watch party, which, by the way, someone in the chat brought this up. Like, why is this guy still here? Like, he was supposed to have been deported.
Well, yes, he's been ordered deported multiple times, and somehow it keeps not happening. Mohsen Madawi just gave up like week before last, I think. He gave up. He didn't file the paperwork he was supposed to file and asked to be deported to Jordan.
You know, he can leave on his own, right? Like, he can literally get on a plane and go wherever he wants.
And that guy owns property. Like, he lives in like Virginia or somewhere on the East Coast, but he's a student at Columbia University.
Unbelievable. All right. Anything else in here, SK, you wanted to? Because I think I got one more topic I just want to touch on real quick. I think I did a video on it earlier today, but a bunch of people were talking about it in the chat, so we'll bring it up real quick. But anything else you wanted to dive into?
No, I just think it's really important that everybody pays attention to all these connections, because everything is connected. All these people are connected. It is very orchestrated. There's going to be a lot of stuff coming out here soon that's going to absolutely ruin people's entire lives, like not just entire lives. I mean, I think people are going to be held criminally accountable before too long.
Good. Nam, what do you look confused about?
I'm not. I'm waiting for you to tell me to bring up Trump rockets and feathers image, because I'm sure that's where you're going.
Yeah, bring that up for me.
Okay, that's what I figured.
Everybody was talking about this in the chat, so we have to talk about it, because this happened yesterday. Donald Trump posted the big oil companies are not dropping their prices at the pump, commensurate with the sharply lower prices they are paying for oil. These prices are dropping like a rock. In other words, customers are being gouged. I've instructed the DOJ to immediately start looking into this. Gasoline prices better start going down a lot faster than what I'm seeing. President DJT. So this is an interesting topic, because we've been exploring a lot around this whole concept of the globalist system and the Bank of London and the City of London, and how they use their financial tentacles to extract wealth out of sovereign nations. And we've talked a lot about how they have done this on the oil side, oil exports, oil production side, through terror premiums, right? So Iran exists as a tentacle of the globalist system to maintain a chokehold over a critical sea lane where oil is absolutely critical to flow from. And this terror organization, the Iranian regime, exists solely to create chaos so they can add what they call a terror premium, which is basically charging you more for oil for the possibility that there may in the future be some type of disruption to the flow of energy. That's why Iran has existed for 47 years. That was the entire point of putting this loser Ayatollah and his organization in place in Iran so that he could be a puppet for that system. Well, on the flip side of this, they have created this technical concept in gas retail prices that they have created all of this fancy language around called rockets and feathers. Everyone know what rockets and feathers means, right? It's a pretty simple concept. When some type of disruption is planned in the future, gas prices immediately spike and then take a very long time for those gas prices to fall. Well, what Donald Trump is talking about is the fact that today, and actually really since the middle of last week, when the MOU was signed and it was presented, and now that we've got productive negotiations happening between the United States and Iran. And by the way, you can just ignore all of the back and forth between the U.S. embassy or envoys and the Iranian envoys, because the Iranian envoys are playing to their radical base in Iran. That's all they're doing. They're trying to hold on to some type of legitimacy in Iran so that they don't have their heads cut off by stepping the wrong direction. So when you hear the chief negotiator come out and saying that the MOU signals a surrender by the United States, he's not talking to anybody but us or but them. He's talking to his supporters in Iran, and he's talking to the FAGA movement in the United States. And that's the directive that they're meant to go with. But it doesn't mean it's real, because actually what's happening are really productive conversations, getting to a point where for the first time in the last 50 years, we will have an Iran that will act as a sovereign nation in partnership with its neighbors. You're already starting to see Qatar and other Gulf states that are communicating with Iran to start developing security agreements and start developing trade agreements and technology agreements, because that's how the Abraham Accords are designed to operate. But I digress. The point here is that oil prices today, Brent crude right now, I just looked, is sitting at 72.09. 72.09. Brent crude is the index that impacts U.S. gas prices the most. WTI, which is the Western Texas Index, has a little bit of an impact. That hit a bottom today of about $69. The last time oil prices were this low was before the conflict started, around the 27th or so of February. At that point, when gas prices, or when oil prices were at 72 and 69, gas prices were right around $2.90. Got it? And yet today, national average gas prices is still around $4. So you are basically paying $1 or more for gasoline today for the exact same price of oil that we were paying for 100 days ago. That's what Donald Trump is talking about. He's talking about the globalist financial mechanism that enables oil producers and these big oil companies to jack the price up and then very slowly extract as much wealth from you as they possibly can when oil prices come back down again. So we've removed the terror premium from the oil per barrel price. And next, you're going to see Donald Trump start to remove the feathers and rockets impact of retail gas prices. And when that happens, you're probably going to see gasoline fall below $2. I wouldn't be surprised if you see gasoline hovering around $2 a gallon by the time we get to the elections, because we've got a massive amount of oil being produced all over the world.
Yep.
Massive.
Well, you've got Russian, Iranian, and Venezuelan oil that has been sanctioned. If you only get it on the black market at a discount, that's now flowing into the global market. So the hypocrite's mirror asks, if we have our own oil, why are the prices even going up the way they have been? Well, because oil as a commodity is traded at the global market, right? So that sets the price. But you'll notice we had WTI, and then what's the index for our oil?
Well,
Brent?
so
Brent, WTI is ours, and Brent's the global market. They kind of play off of each other. But when you had sort of shortages in the global market for Brent crude, then WTI kind of followed that. It was always a little bit cheaper. It was a couple dollars below what Brent was.
It's for a different blend, right? So it's WTI tracking the sweeter blend, which not all parts of the country, I think a small portion of this country actually consumes sweet oil. I don't really know all the technical details of that, but it tracks the sweet version of crude oil. Brent crude is the global index, but it actually impacts about 80% of oil consumption or gasoline consumption in the United States. But what you're starting to see is the Trump administration put pressure on these indexes. And you very well may see us switch from using Brent crude index to determine the price of gasoline to WTI. That's probably going to happen along the way also. But on top of that, at the same time that you have all of these fake ass black pill wannabe America First losers and communists out here who are hoping and begging and praying for high gas prices, you also have Scott Bessent talking about the Trump administration's agenda on shoring up the dollar, because dollar dominance is the only thing that allows this system to continue to evolve into a model that doesn't rely entirely on a globalist system.
You want to wrap on that?
Yeah, let's wrap on that. And then if SK has anything she wants to throw in.
Mm-hmm.
Are you doing that now?
It's essential, and everything President Trump is doing here is, if you look, the new Venezuela is invoicing in dollars. They're coming back onto the dollar system. They've been sanctioned. They were not allowed to translate or to transact in dollars, and now the dollar is going to be the centerpiece of their trade. They were selling discounted oil to China and not getting dollars. We're seeing in the Iranian negotiations, the Iranians will be invoicing in dollars. So everything we are doing is pushing the dollar back. It's never left as the centerpiece for the global currency system, but we're reinforcing it. I would anticipate when the Russia-Ukraine conflict ends, that Russia will want to come back in the dollar system because, again, the dollar, it's our liquidity, it's our capital markets, it's the depth and breadth. Everyone wants to be here. And I think many times, the great thing about the United States is we course correct when we go too far one way or the other. And I think we should not be shy about flexing where we have advantages, and where we have advantages, share with our allies and push back on those who are not aligned with us.
That's the American system right there, folks. That's the American system.
I cannot listen to him speak without hearing him say, when they asked him, did you say you were going to punch him in the face? And he said, no, I said I was going to kick his ass.
I love Scott's dissent. This guy's awesome. And you know what's great about him is he actually used to work for George Soros, so he knows how to destroy their system because he helped them to build it.
Well, he also helped to destroy it once too. But I wanted to say, when you were talking about oil, I was looking it up, and then it's funny you put that up because I had it all up there. But the 52-week high for the Dow is 52,281.19. It closed today at 51,848.90. You guys, there's like hardly any variance at all from like the 52-week high, which it's been multiple record highs during this administration. I don't know why
multiple a month almost. I mean, we've had like dozens of them.
Yes. I mean, what was Biden's high? Like 40 something thousand, 46 maybe.
Yeah.
I don't even know if it was 46. I don't remember, but it was 40 something. I don't know why people are complaining about the economy. Your 401k should be doing great.
Well, because people aren't smart enough to pay attention to it. Yeah, this audience is. Yeah, prices are high. No doubt about that. Yeah. They're coming down. You're going to see gas prices start to fall. They're already falling here in the Southern Command. When we got down here 2 weeks ago, it was about $3.60. I just bought gas earlier. Well, I put premium in mine, but regular was $3.29. So it's just in the last 2 weeks, it's come down like what, 30, 40 cents.
I got $3.06 yesterday.
Wow. I want to address this real quick.
I get premium. Diesel was like $4.10 just yesterday.
But the point here is that the Trump administration understands how this globalist network works, and they understand the economic levers they use to squeeze you, the consumer. And make no mistake, folks, you are the target of their system. Of course. If they can affect your wallet, they know they can affect the way you vote. That's the whole purpose of all of this, is to control your vote through their globalist levers, choke points, all of that stuff. I just want to address this real quick. Is national oil reserves running low? I mean, yeah, there was a little bit of a degradation in oil reserves all over the world. Not so much here, but all over the world. Obviously, because the choke point existed. They had to remove the choke point of the Straits of Hormuz so that those reserves can be filled back up again. But the point that I have to make is that we talked about this last week. The reason why oil prices were allowed to even spike up to $118 a barrel is because the people who were driving the data and the forecast flat out lied to you about what shortages were expected to develop. They were saying that we were losing 14 million barrels of oil a day. And in fact, it was anywhere from 2 to 5 million barrels a day. So they used fraudulent forecast data that was produced by organizations that are funded exclusively by this exact same globalist system to inflate the price of oil to punish you. That's how their system works. And then they do it on the same side, same thing on the retail gasoline price side. That's what the Trump administration is going after. And they're investigating big oil now for gouging, and they should. They should. So if you go read this concept of, and I'll stop in a second, I promise. If you go read the technical definition for why rockets and feathers exist, they will tell you that it's because of your own behavior. Yeah. So the globalists will manipulate the price of retail gasoline and then tell you that it's your fault. They effectively are saying that because you're a savvy consumer, as soon as you see prices go up, you're going to be more diligent about shopping for the best price. So they counter that by raising it even higher. And then as it starts to come down, they argue that because prices are coming down, psychologically, you feel a little bit better about it. So you're not as diligent about shopping for a better price. So they feel like they can manipulate that price a little bit longer because you're looking at it day after day coming down slowly instead of expecting it to drop as fast as oil is dropping. It's a really twisted system that's designed to be twisted to manipulate you psychologically and to take as much of your wealth from you as they can. And the Trump team is saying, we're not playing that game anymore. We're done.
It is American system versus globalism/internationalism. Make sure you guys watch out for that word. It's law and order versus criminals and cashless bail. Cultural Marxism versus American values. Actual Marxism versus actual democracy. But whatever. MAGA versus DSA, commies. Liberty versus tyranny. That's what you're up against here. It shouldn't be hard to choose.
That's right. We're going to stay on this as we see contrast develop over the next couple of months. We may even have a contrast segment in our shows going forward because it's important that we build this contrast, the snapshots and sound bites, so you see what it is that you're being offered to vote for and the people who are pushing it. Make no mistake, you should not be surprised to find out that the radical East German connected Democrat socialists of New York who are talking about eradication of Western civilization are saying almost the exact same things that Alexander Dugin is pumping into Tucker Carlson and the FAGA movement, which is you need to eradicate Western civilization.
Because it is Iran, Iran's proxies, Venezuela, Cuba, China, Russia.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean,
Germany.
all working together. Well,
Not Germany.
yeah, all of Europe, but I don't know that they're necessarily. I mean, they could be. I don't know.
I got you.
Yep. All right, folks, we're out. See you Friday. Have a great night.
I don't think we're not
Good
quite ready
night,
yet.
guys.
Oh, you got to pull it up.
Yeah, I got to get the exit video out here for. Here we go. We're out. See ya.
Trading sacred liberties for power, gold, and twisted dreams. From the broken borders to the fields our forefathers tilled. The enemy is prowling, truth is silenced on or killed. But I'm a patriot source, forged in fire, standing tall. Bible as my sword and Old Glory as my call. No apologies for we invoke the holy name. The serpent weaves through statutes, twisting justice into chains. Yet with God as our commander, victory still remains. Yeah, I'm a patriot source, forged in fire, standing tall. Bible as my sword and Old Glory as my call. No apologies for loving this blood-bought land. We'll charge the gates of darkness with the fire of the righteous stand. God bless the USA. We'll never bend nor break. Patriots of freedom, warriors wide awake. So arm your heart with courage. Let your spirit mount the steed. Ride against the shadows. Truth and justice we decree.